Hi, this is JJ from realbodyage.com, and just going to give you a quick overview of the real physical age, or real body age assessment. What I've done here is I've put in a test client so we can go through quickly and have a look at the different aspects of this form. So when you click the test date, you'll actually be given a calendar and you can change the date on this particular form. So Maggie is a female, 30 years old. She has a body weight of 200 pounds and her height is 5 foot 4 inches. So now we're going to go through the different aspects of the assessment. The first section is the cardiovascular risk factors, the ACSM risk stratification, and this is a description of the different risk factors, and I've put in here that she smokes, and the only other one she has is obesity. Her BMI is above 30 and her waist is actually 40 inches. So that gives her a total of 2 risk factors, and we look down here, this tells you what to do, and in this case she has 2, and so we need to check the signs and symptoms, and if clear she can exercise up to 60% of her VO2 max. So to check the signs and symptoms, I'm just going to click here, open this in a new tab, and going to run through with her to make sure that she doesn't have any of these issues. And if you found that she did have signs and symptoms, you would check this box here, and this would remind you that you need to take extra precautions. Coming down now, the second section is the body fat. You have 3 different types of assessment that you can use here. The first one is using the calipers, and you've got the 4 main measurements here. Obviously you'd simply put in the millimeters in each of the relevant boxes. The second one uses a tape measure, so if you don't have calipers or you're not very confident at doing the caliper test, you can use this one. You just put in the height and these different measurements here. And the third one, which is the one I used, basically just gives a formula which will predict, to some extent, you can see that the correlation is 0.93, so not too bad with comparing to hydrostatic weigh-in. She had a waist of 45 inches, and so that predicted her body fat to be 46% at 200 pounds. That sounds about right with a height of 5 foot 4. The next section, section 3, is the fitness test, the functional test or the VO2 test. And you've also got some choices here. You can do the 12-minute run test. In her particular case, she wasn't a low risk client. If we go back up here, I'll just show you quickly. To be a low risk client, she would have to be in these 2 categories here. So she was in this one, so she's not a low risk client. Couldn't do that one then, the 12-minute run test. If you do have a low risk client, this is going to be a decent test to do. It's accurate, and all you do is you simply get them to run 12 minutes on the treadmill and you record the distance in miles. Second test, Rockport test, very common test. In her particular case, we could have used this, but we didn't. You're going to need to measure the heart rate over a 1-mile walk test and then record the time that it took her to cover that 1 mile. Harvard step test, we step on and off the bench for 5 minutes and we record the 3 pulses at the end of the recovery phase. Pulse 1 after 1 minute of recovery, 2 after 2 minutes, and 3 after 3, and we get an estimation there of the VO2. And if you don't do any of these tests at all for whatever reason, you can use this. This is the one that I chose to use. We put her age in again here, which was 30, and we then look over here, we find the BMI is 34, so we need to put that in here. So to enter this, you simply look here, copy it down, 34, and that's fine. And the activity level, you've got 1 to 7, 1 being the most sedentary and 7 being the most active. So this is a bit of a subjective assessment. You can speak to the client and put a value in here. And this particular aspect of it does make this somewhat not as accurate as if you actually did one of these other tests. So that's probably the main factor here, the activity level. If I change this to 3 and I hit the tab, let's go back here, this has changed now to 25. If I said that her activity level was 5, then it's changed to 29. So you can see that this is quite important. So it's just a rough estimate. Don't go too much on this, because as I say, this part of it is going to make this vary somewhat. Section 4. Now this strength test is optional. So in this particular case I've put in 00 because we didn't do this test, and I'll show you how we can vary the real physical age based on this. If you can do this test, then by all means go ahead and do it, but it does require the use of a bench press. So if you've got access to a gym and you're able to do a bench press assessment, then this would work fine. Section 5 is the muscular endurance. So we've got sit-ups, whether it's male or female, put in the number of sit-ups that they completed, and push-ups, female was modified push-up, that's the half push-up, and then finally the assessment of flexibility, just put in the inches here. Now there is descriptions on all of these tests, so if you're not too sure how to do this, then follow the descriptions in one of the tutorial videos. So we've got all the results we need in here. The next thing to do, let's just go here again, is if you want to see the results, you can click the report tab. So we go up top and there is the report tab. If we click this, you can see that all the details have been completed, and what you can do right at this point is enter any comments that you want to enter, and then email this report to yourself, because once you email it to yourself you're going to get a PDF of this whole assessment, and you can then obviously forward that on to your client. So always use the email to send to yourself. Now to find the score, you've got two options. The real body age score here includes the strength test. So we didn't do the strength test, so 0 here, but that will throw this off. So we've got another option. We've got the body age without the strength test, and you can see that that's now taken out of here. And so we've got, for Maggie, we've got a real physical age of 60. Now considering she's only 30, she's got some work to do. And that's how you use the assessment form.